And welcome to today's lesson on attacking. Now this is applicable if you are wanting to either attack other players or alternatively if you wish to attack a robber baron. Before you can attack though, you really need to spy the opponent, and that means sending your spies out to see what you're up against. In this case we've already sent some spies. We've sent them off to a robber baron, and we can see that there is an espionage report available. Clicking on the espionage report will show us what we are up against. And in this instance, we can see that there are some flaming arrow tools, some rocks, halberdiers 15 on the right flank, 17 archers on the left flank, nothing in the front, and there are no defensive troops in the courtyard. So if we decide to now attack that particular item, we can go across, select the attack button from the left. It'll then say where you're attacking from and what you are attacking to. In this case, I'm going to be attacking from my outpost, doghouse, to the robber baron castle. I select the OK green button, and it brings up the interface now for our attack. Because we've done an espionage report, and in this case we can see the espionage was done 10 hours ago, and you'll also notice how it says courtyard espionage. That's if I click on the courtyard, which is the central figure. If I click on the left flank, it will tell us what is on that flank. If I click on the front gate, the espionage now tells us what was on the front. And if I click on the right flank, we'll see what was there as defenders for the right flank. So, just recapping, as you click on each portion of the espionage report on the castle that you're attacking, it will show you what the defenders are. Now, you'll also notice that we have melee soldiers defense 119% and defensive range soldiers 119%. Now this is for the courtyard. If we go to the left flank, we'll notice that it changes. The defense of range soldiers is now 169. And the reason for that is it is using archers, but more importantly, if we go across now and have a look at the bonuses for the Castellan, we'll see that there is a 19% ranged soldier combat strength bonus. Now that means a combination of the bonus from the Castellan, and we remember and recall that we saw that there were rocks and fire arrows on the left and right flanks. That also is going to contribute to that bonus. And so when we're going to launch our attack, our objective is to counter any and all bonuses that the opponent has in place. And there are two ways to essentially do that. One is if you have a very good Castellan, you might be able to do it straight off the bat. But just quickly, we're going to look at one method, and then we will have a look at a second method in most probably part 2 of this tutorial. So the first one is we're looking now and we're saying, okay, left flank, and we've clicked on it. There is a bonus for defense range soldiers, 169. How can I defend and counter that? Well, it's archers. I need to counter archers with either macemen or two-handed sword. And we can see that my bonus there of a melee attack power is now 3088. That's pretty good. But there's also a castle wall protection of 56%. So I'd really want to be able to counter that first, and I also need to get some protection for these range soldiers. So instead of using my good troops first, let's do it in what we call our waves. So we remove those troops, and what we're going to do this time is we want to counter those tools that we saw, like the flaming arrows that were there. So let's just use a couple of troops, cheap troops, and these are the whole purpose is to remove the tools that were on the wall in the first place. So we're using that on the left, and we'll use a couple on the right, and that's our first wave. We come down here, we can see that we've got one of three. We can have up to 3 waves. So we now go into the second one. We repeat the process. We put a couple of cheap troops in just to remove the tools when they get there. But it also means that these troops can carry tools up to the wall. So by doing so, it means that we can better prepare ourselves. So in this instance we say, okay, we need to have, for the left flank, castle wall protection is 56%. And so we will put in some ladders, and we'll use 6. Because ladders will scale the wall, so its reduction on the wall protection is minus 60 versus the castle wall protection of 60. So we've countered that 56% bonus by using 6 of those ladders. We'll do the same for the right side, and this is still on our second wave, and we notice that this time it's 106%. So we're going to have to use all of our ladders. And if we felt that we weren't able to do that 6% difference, we could use either some ruby tools or some armourer tools to defeat that particular bonus level there. So we're going to do exactly the same for the centre. We'll put in just a couple of troops. Make sure we choose the right ones, our cheap troops, because these are throwaway troops. And 56%, so we can use 6 ladders, which gives us a 60% reduction versus the castle wall 56. But we also have a gate, so we need to put in some battering rams, which will counter the gate, and we'll need 3 of those. So our battering rams have now countered the gate. So our battering rams have now countered the gate, and we are now looking for our final wave of the attack. And in the final wave of the attack, what we can do now is we notice that the defensive range soldiers was going to be 169%. Well, we can defend some of that by putting in some mantlets. Now, wooden mantlets aren't the best. 10 of them will give you a minus 50%. That's still helpful against that 169. We've knocked it down a good percentage. Again, if you wanted to reduce that even further, then you would use ruby tools. Or you could use extra tools for that in a previous wave. So in this instance we might put another 10 tools, or actually we don't have to put another 10, let's do 5. So we get a 25% reduction there of the tools against that, and in the third wave we've got another 50% in reduction. So we're now at 75% in total reduction versus 69 for the defensive range soldiers. And we'll do the same for the right flank. But we don't need as many. What was more important on the right flank was ladders. So we'll throw in a few more ladders, just say 2. Do it. And now what we can do is put our main attack troops in. Now, we notice that they were archers for the left flank, archers up here, so we're going to counter that with macemen. And two-handed sword. And that will definitely counter 17 archers. We go across to the right flank and we need to do exactly the same. We'll just put in the two-handed sword. That will counter the... Ooh, sorry, my apologies. We can see now that there's halberdiers, so it's the reverse. With the halberdiers, we want to use archers. So we'll throw in archers. So our archers now are going to counter the halberdiers. We looked in the courtyard, there was no troops, so we don't have to worry about the courtyard so much. We then come to our front gate and there are no defenders. Excellent. We can bulk it up with just some additional troops to round out our numbers for the courtyard battle, because remembering that all troops that survive the initial battle for the left front and right sides will all end up battling the final battle in the courtyard. And that's what we're trying to achieve, is we want to win, where possible, both flanks. If you win both the left flank and the right flank, as well as the front, then your troops will receive a 30% bonus when they arrive in the courtyard. That means that if you had 100 troops in the courtyard, if the defender had 100 halberdiers in the courtyard, you could defeat those with 70 crossbow. You don't need to have the exact same number. So a smaller number of troops if you get that 30% bonus. Alternatively, if you lose both sides and the front, then the defender is the one that receives a 30% bonus. So it's always important to remember that if you are going to win at least one side, otherwise you will lose a 30% factor in the courtyard if you lose all three. So we've got our attack, we're going to now launch the attack. And that's just simply launching it. We had a look, if you remember, the melee range of the courtyard. That's the Castellan that we're attacking. Our Castellan, his information is down here. And in this instance, you can see we've got a 57% range soldier combat strength. Well, that's not really going to help us all that much. We need a bit more balance, so let's have a look at our second one. 39, 21, our third. There we go, 34, 23. That seems to have a better rating as a commander. So we're going to choose that commander to lead our troops off to battle. We'll click on the attack button. We can choose whether we want a quick attack, faster attack, ultra fast, or uber fast. In most cases you'll find standard speed is okay, but for the purposes of the video I'm going to choose a Ruby +2. We're focusing on what we want to plunder: wood, stone or food, or a bit of all. In this case I'm going to select all. We launch the attack, and you'll now see that the troops are going off to the attack. And so we'll just wait for that to come across and see what the result is.